It's not just women. Unfortunately, we had an opportunity to have a woman lead this country, and I promise you she would have led us to the promised land.
In a political bombshell that has rocked Washington to its core, firebrand Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett has leashed a torrent of explosive revelations about VP JD Vance that sent President Donald Trump into an absolute meltdown. Sources close to the White House reveal that Trump was seeing red and completely unhinged after Crockett's scorching takedown went viral across social media platforms, garnering millions of views within hours and sending Vance exposed trending worldwide. In what insiders are calling the political earthquake of the year, Crockett blasted open Pandora's box on national television, unearthing damning footage of Vance from 2016, where the now VP savaged Trump as a really bad candidate and, frankly, a really bad person. JD Vance went from calling Trump toxic to being his right-hand man faster than you can say political opportunist. Crockett thundered during her now infamous address that left Republican lawmakers stunned into silence. The bombshell revelations included Vance's brutal assessment that Trump was single-handedly destroying political discourse, and that the MAGA movement was nothing more than a delusional time warp catering to the darkest corners of America. This isn't just flip-flopping, an anonymous Democratic strategist told this reporter. This is a complete identity transplant. Vance basically erased his entire political personality to hitch his wagon to Trump's star. Sources within the White House paint a shocking picture of the aftermath, with Trump reportedly throwing objects and screaming at staffers until the early morning hours after viewing Crockett's takedown on his favorite cable news channel. The president was absolutely livid, revealed one White House insider who spoke on condition of anonymity. He was pacing around the Oval Office, his face turning redder than a tomato, demanding to know why his team hadn't buried this stuff before Vance joined the ticket. Another source confirmed that Trump immediately summoned Vance for a brutal closed-door meeting that lasted nearly 3 hours, with raised voices clearly audible through the supposedly soundproof doors. You could hear Trump screaming, "You told them I was what, a bad person?" the source revealed. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Everyone was walking on eggshells for days afterward. In perhaps her explosive claim, Crockett alleged that billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk has effectively become a shadow president who is pulling all the strings behind the scenes of the Trump administration. "Let me be clear," Crockett declared in her fiery speech. Elon cannot become president of the United States because he is an immigrant who gained U.S. citizenship later in life, so he's not allowed to be under our Constitution. So instead, he decided he was going to buy a president. The accusation sent shockwaves through Washington's political establishment, with political analysts scrambling to connect the dots between Musk's growing influence and recent White House policy decisions. When you look at the administration's sudden pivot on certain tech regulations and space policies, it's hard not to see Musk's fingerprints all over them, noted political commentator Regina Walters. Crockett just said out loud what many in Washington have been whispering for months. The Texas Congresswoman didn't stop at exposing Vance's past or alleging outside influence. She tore into the entire Trump administration with a precision that left viewers gasping. As much as Trump and Republicans hate to accept it, we are still a country with laws, and when you break them, there are consequences, Crockett declared, referencing Trump's legal troubles with a fearlessness that has made her a rising star in Democratic circles. In a particularly devastating segment, Crockett compared her own qualifications to controversial Republican representatives, saying, "I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into this seat. When you look and compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison." The congressional gallery reportedly erupted in both cheers and boos as Crockett continued her unrelenting assault on what she termed mediocre white boys that have been beaten out by people that historically have had to work so much harder. Political analysts note that the timing of Crockett's revelations couldn't be worse for the Trump administration, which was already grappling with declining approval ratings and mounting criticism of its economic policies. "This is a PR nightmare of epic proportions," said media consultant Jackson Reynolds. "The White House communications team is in complete damage control mode, but they're fighting a losing battle. These video clips of Vance trashing Trump are everywhere now." Recent polls showed the administration's approval rating has nosedived by a stunning 7 points since Crockett's speech, with particularly concerning numbers among independent voters who had previously been leaning towards supporting Trump's economic agenda. In a masterclass of political counterpunching, Crockett took the administration's favorite talking point, border security, and threw it right back in their faces. The only reason we haven't gotten funding for the border is because they killed it, she thundered, pointing accusingly at Republican colleagues. House Republicans here killed the bill that they actually sent us from the Senate side. The revelation left many Americans shocked, as the administration has consistently blamed Democrats for border security issues that have dominated headlines in recent months. If they want to do some work, let me tell you something. The Democrats are ready, and it seems like the Senate Republicans are ready too. They just need to get to it, Crockett challenged, effectively shifting the narrative in a way that has left Republican strategists scrambling to respond. In perhaps her most incendiary moment, Crockett referred to Trump as a full-fledged criminal and a thug in charge of the United States, warning that if Americans don't wake up, we may not have a United States. The stunning characterization immediately set off a firestorm of controversy, with Republican leaders demanding apologies while Democratic colleagues rushed to Crockett's defense. "Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States," Crockett declared, her voice rising with emotion. "And if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States. Because right now, he has only been successful in being a divider-in-chief." Trump's response was swift and furious, taking to his social media platform to unleash a series of all-caps posts denouncing Crockett as crazy Jasmine and a total disaster who is destroying America with her dangerous lies. Political observers are now questioning whether Vance can survive this professional body blow, with some Republican insiders suggesting he may become a liability to the ticket if the controversy continues to dominate news cycles. JD Vance has revealed himself to be the ultimate political chameleon, noted veteran political analyst Dr. Eleanor Simmons. He went from hillbilly elegy author who represented authentic working-class values to never-Trumper to Trump's most loyal defender faster than most people change their socks. The explosive revelations have also sparked renewed interest in Vance's previous statements about Trump supporters, including his characterization of MAGA voters as people trapped in some delusional time warp, desperately clinging to a version of America that only existed in their heads. "This is the kind of revelation that can haunt a political career forever," said Republican strategist Thomas Weller. "It raises fundamental questions about authenticity and conviction that voters across the spectrum take very seriously." Trump's solution to the pandemic was, of course, to downplay it until it was absolutely too late, Crockett charged. If there were a contest for most avoidant behavior in a leadership role, he'd win by a landslide. Her reference to Trump's infamous suggestion about disinfectants, "This is the same guy who told us to just drink bleach because what could possibly go wrong with that advice?" drew both laughter and gasps from those in attendance. Public health experts have since weighed in, with many praising Crockett for speaking truth to power about what one described as one of the most catastrophic public health failures in American history. In a segment that has financial analysts buzzing, Crockett took aim at Trump's economic policies, particularly his much-touted tax cuts that she characterized as empty as his understanding of basic economics. "Here's a man who's so obsessed with his brand that he probably thinks selling himself is the same as creating real sustainable jobs," Crockett declared, drawing audible gasps from the chamber. He delivered tax cuts for the rich and called it a victory for the little guy, which, if you think about it, is like giving a starving man a cookie and calling it dinner. Economic experts have been quick to weigh in, with Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman praising Crockett's assessment as refreshingly honest about the true impact of the administration's fiscal policies on working Americans. "The new tariffs are basically the largest tax increase on Americans in decades," Crockett charged, highlighting a point that many economists have been making, but that has received relatively little mainstream attention until now. In a moment that left many viewers speechless, Crockett compared certain members of Congress to foreign adversaries, suggesting they posed an equal or greater threat to American democracy. "We have people in this chamber that are actually causing just as much a threat, if not more of a threat, to our own country," Crockett declared in a moment of raw emotion. "We should be talking about holding our very own accountable for the misinformation and disinformation that they are spreading." Her claim that people are dying because of the lies being peddled by certain lawmakers sent immediate shockwaves through political circles, with some calling her comments divisive, while others praised her for speaking the uncomfortable truth. As Washington continues to reel from the fallout of Crockett's explosive revelations, insiders report that the relationship between Trump and Vance has become severely strained, with one source close to the administration describing it as hanging by a thread. Trump values loyalty above all else, and these videos make Vance look like the ultimate betrayer, the source revealed. The president feels blindsided and embarrassed, and that's a dangerous combination when you're dealing with someone as volatile as Trump. Political observers are now speculating about whether Vance might become the first vice president in modern history to be dumped from the ticket midterm, a move that would create unprecedented political chaos, but that some insiders believe is not entirely off the table, given Trump's infamous unpredictability. We're watching a political soap opera unfold in real time, noted political scientist Dr. Marcus Jenkins. The question now is whether this crisis will blow over or whether it marks the beginning of the end for one of the most controversial political partnerships in American history. As the nation holds its collective breath, one thing is certain. Jasmine Crockett has established herself as a fearless truth-teller, willing to take on the most powerful figures in American politics. Consequences be damned. Stay tuned as this explosive story continues to develop.
Hey y'all, so it's Rep Crockett and I am a part of your rapid response team from the House Dems. I know a lot of you probably have questions about the decision that came down from Judge Tanya Chutkan as it relates to reining Elon in. I don't know if y'all had a chance to keep up with what was going on, but let me get y'all up to speed. So first, the lawsuit was brought by various Democratic attorney generals throughout this country, and they were suing because they say that the powers that have been exerted by Elon Musk are illegal. Okay, let me just insert this really quickly. I absolutely agree with them. They know what they're talking about. But what happened is the judge said, listen, I've got grave concerns, which I think she's signaling and saying this foolishness that Musk is up to, it must stop. To the extent that the White House and the DOJ are like, oh, Mr. Musk, that Mr. Musk. Oh, yeah. By the way, yeah, he doesn't have any power. Yeah, that's what they're arguing. So I don't know who's lying, but somebody lying. And I hope it's not these lawyers under oath, because one thing that Donald Trump doesn't control is actually these bars that give us our licenses, okay? So in short, the Trump administration basically says that Elon Musk is nothing more than a glorified pool boy. Just a little errand boy who's out there to, I don't know. Really, it just seems like they just like to play at Mar-a-Lago or play wherever they play together. I don't know. They always together because, you know, Elon. Anyway, that's all the issue. The reason that I believe the attorney generals were having a hard time meeting the standard as laid out under the law, where they could say that there was imminent and irreparable harm that we were about to face, is this idea of we don't really know what they're doing. Because Elon still ain't came in to see us, right? He ain't came in for no oversight, right? And when we went to go see what they were up to, remember, every building we've gone to, they have somehow decided that we were going to be locked out. Now, that don't sound strange. I mean, if you over here and you doing everything to help the people, then why won't you let the people that actually oversee all of this, why don't you want to let us in? I personally believe that ultimately, if they continue down this road, that they are going to lose in this particular court. But as of right now, because they just all over the place and nobody knows what Elon is up to or not up to, because they talking out of both sides of their mouths, she was like, I can't give you the temporary restraining order. But hopefully we can get this case resolved quickly. Hopefully they can engage in some form of discovery so that we can discover what you've been up to, boo.